The Atlantic tropics are active with two tropical storms threatening land. I'm Mike Nasa with a nighttime video update on the Atlantic hurricane season so far. We have a new tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico on the left side of your screen. That is Tropical Storm Hanna, forecast to strengthen and hit the state of Texas. We also have Gonzalo, which is getting a bit better organized. This is still forecast to be a hurricane, Category 1, and move through the Windward Islands. Even though it is expected to eventually dissipate in the Caribbean Sea, it's still expected to be a hurricane for the islands. And then we have this large and impressive wave leaving Africa, and this could be a big player down the road. I'll discuss all of this, but first let's go to Hanna since it is our biggest threat to the United States. This is Tropical Storm Hanna, just designated at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 o'clock Central. It was at 26.2 north, 91.4 west. The Air Force has been flying around like crazy trying to find tropical storm winds. They finally did 40 miles an hour, a low-end tropical storm, moving west-northwest at 7, and the pressure is about 1,002 millibars. But it is strengthening. We have a tropical storm warning from the mouth of the Rio Grande River to San Luis Pass, Texas, and a tropical storm watch up to High Island, Texas from there, with the expectation that Hanna is going to continue west-northwest, and then under a building high-pressure clockwise flow will bend back west and even west-southwest. And some of the computer models are even bending further south. So if you live in Padre Island, Brownsville, south of Corpus, you guys want to be watching Hanna very carefully. It is expected to strengthen to a strong tropical storm, and again, it could come ashore a little further north or a little further south, but it looks like South Texas is where the landfall will occur. You can see right now tropical storm winds are only covering a very small area, but as it moves closer and strengthens, that will increase. There are the forecast models. Again, the Hurricane Center has bent it to the south a bit because they're showing Hanna getting way out here, crossing the river, and then dissipating over Mexico. However, that will only be after its Texas landfall. So if you're along the coastline, be ready because Hanna is on her way. Quite possibly the biggest threat from Hanna, as long as it doesn't become a hurricane, is the rainfall. You can see this is through Tuesday. They are forecasting 6 to 10 inches somewhere here along the Gulf Coast, but not just in Texas. You could have heavy rain here back towards Mississippi, Alabama. It could be a sloshy day along the Gulf Coast, although right now I'm not seeing too much in the way of rainfall. We do have that counterclockwise flow around Hanna, bringing some showers, nighttime, moist, hot, muggy, late July thunderstorms to areas of South Louisiana here, maybe the Florida Panhandle. But again, the heaviest rain will be where the landfall takes place, but that is not impinging on the coastline yet. But give it 24 to 36 hours, and it will be. So we're going to have to deal with that. I got to say, the satellite imagery of Tropical Storm Hanna, it looks impressive. This has good outflow. I like the ventilation here all around it. And still a little dry, but it's moistening up. Thunderstorms are starting to bubble. You could obviously see it's a tropical storm. And if we get a good burst of convection, it could strengthen pretty decently. And 65 miles an hour is quite a gusty, strong tropical storm. Hopefully it doesn't become a hurricane, but I'll tell you right now, looking at this convective pattern, that is concerning to me. Okay, this is not like Cristobal where it was June 6th or whatever. This is the end of July, and this is an active year, and these waters are very hot. Look at the thunderstorms bubbling there. And, of course, you can see here in magenta the coastline of Texas and Louisiana there as Hanna approaches. It has wonderful upper-level conditions. Look at this. It has an anticyclone that's high pressure clockwise right over the top of it as it spins counterclockwise, venting it. Look at this vent here, this little like outflow channel it has over Florida on the right-hand side. And with the high pressure to the north of it, steering it west, it has a very, very good upper-level environment. And that's why it's concerning if you're in Texas to keep an eye on it because it is forecast to strengthen. You can see that even better here. The blues are low wind shear. You can see right over Hanna, very favorable conditions. And that outflow jet kind of coming here. This could be strengthening or ramping up at landfall. Not to mention that we have our system out, Gonzalo, which I'll talk about in a second, low wind shear right now, and off Africa, low wind shear for anything that'll follow. We'll discuss that momentarily. I did want to note the water temperatures. Look at this buoy out here in the western Gulf of Mexico. Look at that, 86 degrees, 85.8 off of the Texas coast. You need 80 for a hurricane, 86, 87. You're getting up there towards bathwater. So Hanna has hot water and a good upper level environment for strengthening. And that's why you need to keep a close eye on it if you're along the Texas coastline, okay? Then we go further out, and here's Gonzalo. Now, Gonzalo's been struggling all day. It did not become a hurricane, but it is getting a bit better organized. It's at 9.9 north, 50.6 west. Winds are 60. It's moving straight west at 14. It is expected to eventually gain a little latitude and become a hurricane Saturday as it moves through the Windward Islands, the Category 1, okay? And that's why we do have a hurricane watch in effect for Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. And we have a tropical storm watch for Tobago, Grenada, and its dependencies. So way down here, I would say anywhere from Barbados south, that's where we'll see the brunt of what is expected to be Hurricane Gonzalo by Saturday night. But then look at this. It weakens to a tropical storm Sunday and then just slides west and dissipates by Monday night. The computer models do not like Gonzalo. Look at this. They don't keep them alive at all after, say, 75 west. I mean, if this was a system that would survive, we'd be dealing with it down the road. But right now, the models dissipate it, and they've been saying Gonzalo's just going to dry out in the Caribbean. And by the way, for developing cyclones, this area of the eastern Caribbean, if they're weak, like Gonzalo will be, is not very favorable. The western Caribbean is like a bathtub. But yeah, right now, Gonzalo's expected to be a hurricane for the Windward Islands, but not much of anything afterwards. So it's one of those weird situations to where it'll kind of just peter out, we think. There's the infrared satellite imagery, and you can see I'm not very impressed with it. I gotta say, I'm way more impressed with Hanna tonight than I am Gonzalo. And Gonzalo's the one expected to become a hurricane. You can see it's bubbling right there near the center, but still very flat on the northern side. And there does seem to be some wind shear and just dry air. Look at these clouds here. This is dry air to the north of it. And that dry air is really impinging on our tropical storm. But we think it'll burst enough to become a Category 1 hurricane. What is that, about 10, 15 miles an hour more than it is now? And move through the southern windwards. And so if you live in Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent, you guys here need to be overlooking your hurricane plans for whatever Gonzalo does. You can see the models lose Gonzalo, but look at what it does with the wave off Africa. Some of these models make it a significant hurricane. This is about 190, 200 hours out, so it is long range, but these models have been consistent, showing a new system headed up. So if you live in the Northern Islands, Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, the U.S., anywhere in the Atlantic, with how busy this hurricane season is expected to be, you all need to be on alert. But again, this is very concerning here because this is around August 2nd. You can see Gonzalo dissipates, and this is a new system, and that would be another system we have to deal with. Here's the tropical wave leaving Africa. This is what those computer ensembles make a significant hurricane around August 1st through 3rd in the general vicinity of the Northern Islands, Bahamas, off the southeast coast. Again, we don't have anything there yet, but there is a wave, so it's not just a phantom storm, and so we need to be on a close lookout for that. I did want to touch on Hurricane Douglas, a very dangerous Category 4 hurricane way out in the Pacific, and it's moving west-northwest at 18. It is expected to weaken by Sunday, but be very close to hurricane strength as it crosses the state of Hawaii, okay? Hawaii getting a hurricane landfall is rare. But as we look at that visible satellite all day, that is a hurricane. That means business out there. That big donut, beautiful. And here's the Hawaiian Islands right here. And so if you live in Hawaii, keep an eye on Douglas. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on the tropics. In the islands, Gonzalo expected to be a hurricane, and watch Hanna near Texas. I'll be back with frequent updates. Stay tuned.